Hello, welcome back everybody. This is Mystic Games. Today we're going to be talking the Stormforged Cornerstones. These are from the Ashen Thicket, which are new to the DLC. I've already covered your standard yearly or annual Cornerstones that you get, So if you haven't seen that, go check those out. You can see my thoughts on them. I kind of rank them, but I don't rank every single one, but I kind of tell you how I feel about them. If they're like a mid-level, something I would always pick, something that's, situational but good, or something that's situational but really situational, or something that's niche, essentially, is kind of how I rate things. But we're going to talk Stormforged. I'm going to click on there. I wanted to start the video by warning everybody, more than the name, that this is going to be DLC current anyways. This could change because it's not added to the game yet, so it will be added soon though, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone that doesn't want to know. But I'm going to give my opinions on them so far, what they do have. There we go. So we're going to start off with the advanced fuel. It gives all fuel recipes are 50% faster and produce 33% more goods, so that affects coal and oil pretty much. Interesting. It's good, but it's very limited on what it's actually doing. Being that this is supposed to be extremely powerful, I think it's very, very strong in the sense of what it does, but I think just from what I'm seeing, without even going that far ahead, there's more powerful ones below. So I'm going to say this is a good choice if you're trying to produce a lot of oil, like the seal maps where you don't really have access to a lot of good amount of wood, and you have to kind of use sea marrow and then potentially use a secondary resource. Getting oil in that map, or coal. I don't know if that map has coal, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But getting oil is a good secondary or a primary resource that I tend to use in the seal maps, as I usually use the sea marrow. I start off with wood, then I use sea marrow if I'm able to find it, and if I can't, then I'm normally trying to make a way to be able to produce oil. So that would be good in that map. The issue is this is obviously for the Ashen Thicket, not for the seal map, so it kind of makes it a little weaker. I would say in like the seal map this would be super strong. You know what would be actually really cool was if they allowed you to like take a Stormforged Cornerstone into another map or something like that at some point. Anyways, so cool, not that great unless you really need fuel for some odd reason in the Ashen Thicket, but I doubt that will be a problem. So then we have alarm bells, the Stormforged version. 10% higher chance of producing for every 100 points of expected corruption per minute in the Ancient Hearth. Double yield is always super good, but the base chance of double yield, especially the higher you get, makes this not that good. So this is something I probably wouldn't pick, or I wouldn't make this if I had a choice. Ancient Pact, you can see this is just good. The other two versions of this have a negative effect, which is why it is not brokenly strong, but it is still brokenly strong. I would argue that taking away any negative effects and just being able to see the map and its contents without having to worry about any negative effects this is like, you take this. If you get this as I'm not sure how the Stormforges work, but I'm assuming they probably give you like a certain amount that you can pick from. I would pick Ancient Pact almost every time I saw it. The only reason you wouldn't pick Ancient Pact is if it's towards the end. Because I'm assuming when you're Stormforging things, you're probably going to get one earlier on, then one in the middle, and then one towards the end, right? So if you get one towards the end, it's not going to help you because you probably already cut into most of the glades you're going to want to cut into. Because you're just not going to want the hostility at that point. But if you got this like as your first choice, I mean, this is just free sight for the rest of the game, and you don't have to worry about anything, which is really good. This one's really good too. This is the fertile soil one, so 150% more yield is insane. 50 yield on a 6 makes it a 9, so you got to think that's 12, 15. That's 15. That's so many resources, man. Like, you could just, if you have fertile soil, I mean, that's just insane. That's a really good buff. You'd probably only need like two things of fields, and you'd be able to feed your people forever. So yeah, that's a solid choice too. The only negative downside to this is that your farm, you need to make sure you can carry, and that you have warehouses nearby your farms, because you're gonna need to be able to. You're essentially gonna pick like probably two things of crops and then have to deliver immediately, because you're gonna have a full all your storage space is gonna be full. Blood contract, a shady but lucrative deal. 20 amber for 1 ancient tablet every time a villager leaves. So you get 1 ancient tablet and 20 amber every time somebody dies. That's good, especially if you're going whenever villagers leave and die build. I think that's really strong. 20 amber is just solid, and then 1 ancient tablet. The only downside is this, unless you're building around losing villagers and stuff. I'm not a big fan, as I said earlier, about doing that kind of stuff, but I can see that being helpful. The bone tools gain 6 tools. That seems too weak. I think the original version was 3. This would have to be like 9. I think if this was 9, that would be a lot better. It would make it more... I would take this in the build if I got this one, and if I got these 3, which all seem to be if a villager leaves or expires, essentially... these are your 3 choices for that. I would take this one every time. I don't see any world where I take the other 2 options here. So this would have to be at least 9 tools. I would make it just 10, average it out. I think that would make it more viable. And then cannibalism, 40 meat, 20. I think it was 40 meat before. It's just adding jerky. 60 meat jerky maybe. Or 50-30, something like that, make it a little bit better. I feel like this is just too strong to pass up comparatively. Each newcomer group has 3 people, and they bring 50% more goods with them. This is just an upgrade. This is a good early game upgrade too. You just get more villagers and you get more goods. I would probably pick this if I saw it, especially early on. All houses have room for 1 villager, and time between breaks for workers increases by 25%. So they get less breaks, and they have more room in their houses. This is just a solid upgrade all around as well. It makes your workers more efficient, and it makes the houses cost less, essentially. So just all good stuff. Oop. So increase the production yield of packed goods by 100%. This is really good, because if you get a +1, that turns into a +2. Hard to explain, but if you get a +1, it turns into a +2 for you. So this is going to be if you have no upgrades on your packed goods and you produce 2 packed goods, you're producing 4. If you get an upgrade on your packed goods of +1, it becomes 3, and with this buff, it becomes 6. So that's really strong. It also gains 2 active additional trade routes. This one's just solid as well. Packed goods are almost always used, and gaining additional trade routes is just good. Gain 2 production yields for all packed goods. This would be crazy with this one. Gain 2 that would make your packed goods. You would never need another upgrade if you got this and then this. But you gain 2 plus production, and you gain the fact that they're created essentially twice as almost. You're cutting the time in half of how long it takes to produce, and you're making more. This is just nuts as well. This is really good too. If I were to say which one's better, I would probably say this one is going to be better for you, but I could see this one, if you just get a couple upgrades, super good. If you get this and this, you just are essentially getting 4 automatically just from these 2 upgrades, and then how many ever you're producing on top of it. And then they're just going to be faster, and you're just going to be making extra money because you're going to have more trade routes going. Glade worker speed increased by 30. That's always nice. Resources you sacrifice in the ancient hearth, 30%. That's good too. I really do like the Glade event speed, but the resource sacrificing is not that great. I'm not saying it's not useful. I don't use it that often. So this is something I probably wouldn't pick, but it does have use. There's nothing the forest hates more than fire. Every villager with their need for religion decreases hostility by 10. That's just an upgraded version of what we already had. It's okay, but you need to have religion fulfilled, which is probably going to be a later game thing. This is not something I'd pick early on. This is something I would pick when I know I have the means to do so, especially if I have a very religious settlement. Next we have an artifact infused with the Holy Flame. Hostility from woodcutters decreased by 8, and woodcutters have a 20% chance of producing twice the normal yield. That's just solid. It just makes your woodcutters, it reduces the hostility from woodcutters. You don't have to pull them off as much, and then they're gonna be producing twice as much consistently. You're probably looking at almost a 40, just from upgrades in the Citadel, and then your hearth and everything. I'm looking anywhere from like 40 to 50% increase, I feel like, which means this is just a really solid upgrade. Anything that reduces hostility is nice, and then you just have more wood coming in. Also, you have the secondary resources. You can't forget about those as well, which can be very helpful in certain maps, like the mushroom map. Alright, so the Forbidden Seal. Weakening the ancient Every glade event solved by making a decision marked corruption increases the chance of workers producing double yield by 5%. This is a good one towards the end if you know you're going to get the buff, because you know how many corruption you did and it's retroactive, which means you can just pick this at the end if you want it. Early on, this is not a good choice. There's a lot of really good early choice. Like, this is a really good early choice one, because you're going to get hostility reduction and you're going to be getting more wood quickly. The one with food is really good for farms, all that kind of stuff. But this is definitely a later game one. I would say this is mid to late game. The forest and the everlasting rain are connected somehow. Gain 5 stormwater production. This is essentially the upgraded version of the one I read before. This is not bad. I could see this being useful. I mean, you're going to be getting a lot of stormwater this way, and that allows you to use stormwater in a lot of different recipes, whether you're using the stormwater for rain pump pipe type stuff, or you're just using it to produce, like porridge or something. That is very helpful. You're just going to be getting free stormwater. And then we have the Forge Trip Hammer, which is super cool. This gives you access to parts number 3, which means it's going to be super easy to make these. They can be produced in the smithy, and 100% to the amount of goods produced. So you're essentially getting ×2 everything in the smithy. So this is amazing, because you're actually going to get 2 parts at least from this. Because I assume the base is 1 part every time you produce them. So with the 100%, you're getting 2. And it's the smithy, which means if you have, I want to say, beavers, you can get double yield. So that's pretty solid right there too. I would actually, this would be probably a mid to late game one as well, but I actually like this one more than I like this one and the one above it, because this one I can always make use of parts. Parts are usually really well used to be sold as well. They're worth quite a bit, and then you can also trade them a lot for a lot of good, like, trade paths and trade routes. So I like that one. And Artifact of Forsaken Gods. Gain 1 Cornerstone reroll charge at the beginning of each storm. That's solid. You just can reroll forever, essentially. I don't know if 1 Cornerstone reroll is really strong enough, though. Because you're passing up, like, a godly... You know what I mean? Like, you're passing up, like, a really good Cornerstone, essentially, by picking that one. It makes all your other cornerstones, you're going to have, like, you're going to be able to very, very well adjust the game that you want to play around the cornerstones that you get, because you can always know you're going to have a reroll. Which is an interesting gameplay mechanic, but I feel like you're passing up such good stuff. Some of these are really good. Anyways, Wealthy Settlement attracts wealthy settlers. Newcomers bring 75% more goods with every hearth level. This is just a better version of what we already saw. That's super good. Again, this is a later game pick normally. You're probably going to pick this in the mid-game to the late game. Normally, mid-game, this is going to be helpful. In late game, it won't be helpful because you're not going to be worrying about the goods generally that they're bringing. You're already going to have your settlement set up. So I could see this mid game, but beyond that, you're not going to pick it. Early game, you don't have anything because of the hearth level. And then late game, it's just not useful because you're at the end. Global Resolve is increased by 5, and villagers have a 10% chance to not consume food. This is just solid. This just gives you a pure 5 Global Resolve, which is always great. And then your villagers have a 10% chance of not consuming food, which means you're going to be saving food a lot. I'd rather have this be like a 20 and this be a 4, but either way, it's still good. I just feel like the 10% chance would be nice if that was a little higher, because that would make this a lot better. But it's still good. Ancient Tablet. 1 Ancient Tablet for every 1 completed Glade event. This is added retroactively, so you can pick this at any time if you want Ancient Tablets, and it will help you. That's a very good one, just because it's retro. So you can just pick it whenever. This is not something I'd pick early. I'd pick it once I know I'm going to gain value from it, and that I actually want Ancient Tablets at that point. The Crown doesn't need to know everything. Impatience doesn't grow when a villager dies, leaves, or dies. So this is good in the building around your villagers expiring, because it just takes away the impatience from that, which is really nice. All camp production is increased by 100%. This is bad. So this is actually a really nice option for when you're not going to go fertile soil. All this does is take away the negative effects so that you can still use fertile soil. The issue is, again, if you're picking this, you just don't, you're probably, I mean, this just allows you to do both. Whereas before it would actually be like, okay, well, now I'm focusing on camp production. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I feel like it should be 150%. Because even without the negative, I just don't feel like it does good enough. Also, they could have probably put the woodcutters into this one and made it so that all camps, including the woodcutters, produce like a double. Because that would have been fine, I feel like. Anyways, maybe they have the woodcutter one down here, but they really should just make the hunter-gatherers and the wood one, if they're making a Stormforged one, into one, and then take away the negatives. I think that would be fine. Essentially all your camps, other than, and this should include fishing as well. Anyways, woodcutters are tasked with creating makeshift tools. Discovering a glade during the storm grants 15 tools. Most of the time you do break glades during storms, or at least towards the end of the storm. You normally, like 10-15 seconds left, you try to cut in, maybe 20, so that you can see the glade that you're breaking into and prepare to deal with the seal during the nice season. So getting 15 tools is just nice. It also helps you essentially cut into a glade anything that requires tools to deal with, which there are a decent amount. This just negates the fact that you're going to have to worry about that anymore. So it makes cutting into glades less risky. So then we have gain 1 villager every time you discover a glade. Villagers add less hostility, -1. I wonder if that matters on difficulty, and I wonder if that stacks per villager every time you cut into a glade, because that would be interesting. I would need to know more about this, because I feel like this villagers add less hostility would change based on difficulty, and that does matter on how useful it is. Any hostility reduction is nice, though. I feel like more is better than less, though. Increases production of metal, essentially, so all metal recipes are 66% quicker, and you produce 1 more of each, essentially. So this is really solid. It makes all your recipes quicker, and it gives you more. I like this. Now, as a farmer, because I do like fertile soil, and I will talk about that all the time, I really like the 3 mushrooms. Mushrooms are a very good resource. Even in the DLC, they are still one of my favorite resources. I like to get the mushroom seedlings normal. I'd be very happy to get this. I actually think this is not as strong as a lot of the other cornerstones, simply because you could get mushroom seedlings and then get the normal one and then get like the 150% increase in the amount, and you're essentially getting this bonus anyways, but you're getting this bonus for everything. So very solid bonus to get the extra star, but I don't know if it's good enough. I mean, the main reason I'd probably take this one is if I just didn't get the normal one and I had a lot of fertile soil to play with. Anywho, so this is where I feel like the quality control one should be added. So this is the +2 production of wood. All stored wood is removed, and you gain 150 insects in return after each storm. Not a big fan of this. It would have been nice that if they didn't just remove the wood. Just don't remove the wood and then give them a little more insects. And then that's all you would have to do, and this would be such a good upgrade. Anyways. An old inscription on the bottom of the hat says Fortune and Glory. Increases doubling the event loot by 75%. Increases the chance of doubling, so it's 75. Just make this 100, man. 100% chance. Still good. I'm just saying you should just make it 100. Know that you're going to get the bonus. That would be the change. Because I think the other one's 50. So just make it 100 and then you know you're getting it. Scouts work 20% faster on glade events for every firekeeper assigned. I actually like this better than the other version that was up above, where your resources cost less in the hearth to burn. Because this would probably go up to at least 40 to 60% for me when I play. I usually at least get one hearth. Sometimes I get a third. So this just makes glade events easier. The people are feeling oddly rebellious. Gain 1 global resolve for every impatience. This just gives you more resolve while you have impatience. The issue is there was one of the choices above would just give me 5 global resolve, so I would pick that one over this. Plus it was like a reduction in food, and there's no requirement for impatience to be high. So this one has an overall higher level of global resolve, but I feel like the other one is just a better consistent bonus. This is like, I don't know. This is a weird choice. I could see me picking this just to keep my resolve up, but I don't think it's necessary. An old manuscript. Fuel consumption in hearths is decreased by 33%, and then resources you sacrifice in the ancient hearth burn 25% longer. This one I do like, and that's because it reduces the consumption in the hearth by 33% for your fuel, which is just an overall bonus at all times, and then it gives you also resources you sacrifice burn longer. So essentially everything is just more efficient in the hearth. I do wish the resource sacrificing was a little bit better. And this was obviously a little bit better as well. Because I think there's you can buy like a perk from the shopkeepers. I think it's 25%. So I feel like this could be slightly higher. Your villagers learn how to travel the wilderness. The trade routes are faster by 40%, and traders arrive 33% quicker. This is just a solid upgrade. Everything is faster. You trade quicker, and the trader gets there faster, which is just nice. The people in your settlement have survived many hardships. This is awesome by itself, like the normal Cornerstone. This is one of those ones you can pick. You can pick this at the beginning of the game and you're happy. This just makes your villagers more efficient. So 25% movement speed means your villagers do things quicker, and then they just have more happiness. They're less likely to get upset in the first or second storm. Usually the second storm, because by the time you get to the second storm, you usually have at least 1 bar of hostility, and then you have to actually worry about your foxes and stuff. This pretty much negates your worries for your foxes and stuff, and your lizards and stuff like that. Plus, it just makes them more efficient, which is really good. Should add 5 carry weight to this, and you'd be solid. I'm just joking. I mean, it's already strong as it is, but any carry weight's just insane as well. Travel costs on trade routes is reduced by 3. Doesn't apply already. This is good. If you're doing a lot of trading, this is just solid. So we have gain 2 additional trade routes, and the trader will arrive 33% quicker and have +1 cornerstone on. So this is super good. So this is the guide the guild guidebook or whatever, mixed with the trader just getting there quicker, and then allows you to have 2 more trade routes so you can make more money. This is like extremely good. I would definitely pick this if this was one of my choices. I'm going to tell you that right now. Trade routes are worth 3 more amber. This is just good. It would actually be interesting if they had done this one and then made this like a 2 and made this a 2 and then combined them together. I actually think that would have been the way for the team to go with that. But these are both, you know, if you're doing trading, these are both solid. This is really good. You're always going to be pretty much making gold or amber on every trade. So this is a solid option to take. And then gain 5 insects every time a guy they cut down stuff at the storm. That's fine. The issue with that, once it's seasonal, it's not always affecting you in a positive way. And if you need insects, super good. Otherwise, not a big deal. Anyways, these are really cool. I really like the survivor one here. I really like the trade log one as we go up. I do like the mushroom seedlings, but that's not really as strong as it should be. I do like this one, but I think they should have increased the buff and just gave it to the camps. I think they should get rid of this one, right? And essentially add this to all production, to all camps, to the fishing and the woodcutters, and then you're solid with no negative debuff. What other ones did I really like? I like this one with the smithy. I like this one. This is just a solid pick in the beginning of the game as well. Production of packed goods are pretty good as well. Crowded houses is alright. Newcomer group is pretty decent in the beginning. Ancient Pact is just broken. So yeah, Ancient Pact, this one, the Back to the Nature, and pretty much all the ones I named are probably the ones I would focus on first, and then if I had those as an option, and then I would go about others. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the Stormforged, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the DLC content. I'm looking forward for this to be released completely so I can actually play around with it and see. Hopefully they do make some changes here, though, because I feel like some of the Stormforges are really, really good, and some are not good enough. So, yeah. Anyways, those are my thoughts on it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later, everybody.